Thanks for tuning in today, guys. I am joined by Sophie Ringel, who runs the nonprofit organization called Clean Miami Beach. And the name pretty much speaks for itself there. Sophie lets us know about all of the amazing work that she does, along with how she built up a large social media following and how she's even able to recruit the tourists who are down here in Miami enjoying their vacation to also come out and help clean up the beaches with her. So, let's do it.
Too many days in the darkness without a glimpse of the light. Running tired and broken and scared, but I swear I'll never give up the fight. I see you broken and beat, head pulled down over your eyes. Every part of you wants to surrender, but darling, you were meant to survive.
Well, welcome, Sophie. I am so excited to have you today and be speaking with you. So, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, hi Daniel. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited too.
Yes, and you're the founder of Clean Miami Beach.
That is correct, yes.
And I wanted to speak with you guys because I think what you guys do is absolutely amazing. And I also live in Miami Beach. So you guys are, I know, all over the place. And we really appreciate you guys on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings, especially on the beach after all the tourism has just ran its course throughout the night and whatnot. And would love to kind of get a little bit of background from you guys, and also would love to know your story as well on why you got involved and started Clean Miami Beach and so forth.
Sure.
And you guys, I think, are about 5 or 6 years old.
No, we aren't that old. I founded Clean Miami Beach in March 2019, so it's 2.5 years. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you guys are doing amazing then in that
Thank
amount
you.
of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely have the demand for people to help out and volunteer and clean these beaches up.
Correct. Yeah.
Somebody needs to do it.
Yeah. Well, can you just imagine if every person would pick up one piece of trash every day? The city would be so clean. Oh, wow.
I know. I feel like the beaches, unfortunately, in Miami are some of the dirtiest areas sometimes of the actual city itself. Usually it's the public transit, the alleyways in the city or downtown, but especially on the weekends, it's just awful sometimes,
Yeah,
especially in the mornings after the parties have hit the beach and such. And I was just out there a couple weeks ago, and it was just appalling because I was out there watching the sunrise, and it was just something else.
It is disturbing. I agree.
Yeah. And how do you set up some of these events to help clean up the beach and organize?
How I set them.
I was going to say, because you guys have a lot of people that actually do come and are excited and do great work. So it's not just something out of the blue where you can rile the troops there.
Right. Yeah, well, it's a lot of work behind the scenes. To organize a cleanup takes a lot of manpower and time. It starts with scouting the site, scouting the area, looking if it's possible to do that a cleanup at the location. I would like to do it. So I need to figure out, do I need a permit for this? So who's in charge of the area? Is it city? Is it county? Is it state? Do I need to go through a permit process? And if I do, sometimes I do, it's super complicated. The city's making it really difficult for us, which is unfortunate. But that's the way it goes. Yeah, and then we pick a date, we pick the time, we create a flyer about the cleanup and post it on social media and post it on our website. And there's another platform I love to work with. It's called volunteercleanup.org, and they have a database of over 20,000 volunteers, registered volunteers, and all the cleanups are posted on that website that are happening in Miami, and all the all the database. They send out a newsletter every week, so people get to see, oh, okay, there's a cleanup at this location. It's close to my house. Let's go. Let's sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good. It
and
sounds
then
like you have a pool of people to come.
yes. Yes, we do. We have a large following on social media, which is really awesome. I'm very, very grateful for that. It's amazing to see how we grew and how we got to the point where so many people are involved. And we're meeting to pick up trash. It's not that we're, hey, let's have a drink, let's watch the sunset.
Yeah.
No, we're meeting to literally picking up trash. Sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. And it's usually right in the mornings too, right? On the weekends especially.
I like the mornings, yeah, because you get up, and you do something good right in the beginning of the day, which is awesome. But we also do cleanups in the evenings. So it depends on the location, depends on the time of the year, and on other things.
Okay. And you guys how do you pick your spots? Do you just pick a spot that you guys haven't hit before yet, or do you have designated spots that you have kind of like routines throughout the months you go to the same places?
Yes, so it's both. I have routines, I have spots I just like, and I know there's always trash, and it's easy for me to organize, to clean up there. I always need to think logistic. Where do I set up my tent? Is there parking? Is there restroom? Are there restrooms? So there are a couple of spots we like to go on a regular basis, and then there is just spots. People call us and say, hey, I live at this location, and lately the trash accumulation has increased enormously. Can you please come do a cleanup here? And then I go out the area and I check for permits, and then I do the cleanup there.
Oh, so people actually reach out to you, like local
Yeah.
leaders or so, and be like, and ask you if you can,
Yeah.
And what kind of permits do you have to pull just to clean up the area? And so, because that kind of seems like if I were, say, the local official or so, I mean, it kind of seems like common sense just to have, there's this group that just wants to come in and do good things.
I know, right? Yeah, well, there's some, it depends. The city of Miami is particularly difficult to work with. They just need to have an application filled out, and and then they decide if I can do the cleanup or not. And I had the case twice already where they declined my application. I said, no, you can't do the cleanup there.
Do they have to provide reason for that?
No, they don't have to provide reason. Well, they did. Well, the one cleanup is a very small park in the Miami mainland, and
Okay.
it is a mangrove. It has a mangrove section. It's really small, but this mangrove section is so polluted with everything that has been washed ashore. And it is and mangrove forests are habitats for so many animals, like for fish, for all sorts of sea animals who live there to nurse there. And this area is really, 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 really badly polluted. But apparently it is a protected area, so the city was worried that we cause more damage than we do good by being there, which I don't think you can cause any more damage if you see the situation in this park. It's really sad. So I don't know what their regulations are. I'm not arguing with them. I'm offering my free service to protect Mother Earth and to protect the ocean and Biscayne Bay, and we all depend on Biscayne Bay. But if the city has other plans, well, I have to accept that.
Yeah, I guess that's just politics, right? I
Yeah.
mean, oh my goodness. That's kind of like, yeah, I know you want to feed the homeless there, but
Yeah.
we don't know the food you're bringing them.
Right.
That's absurd. That is something, honestly, when I thought, I'm going to be speaking with you today, that I would never have heard that.
Yeah.
That a local government would actually decline that. That's crazy, because I'm assuming too that they also charge you guys to apply for the permit too, right?
Well, that is a different story. As a nonprofit, you can apply You can write a letter where you ask the city manager to waive the application fee.
Okay.
So that is a little more difficult, but we have not had to pay anything for permits yet. The only thing what we have to pay is if we do a cleanup on a causeway, we have to pay police, an off-duty police officer.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, well, no. It makes sense to have a police officer there, but it does not make sense to pay for the police as a local nonprofit that picks up trash.
Especially if he works for the city. Like if
Exactly.
it was,
Yeah.
I get it now. If it was a private, police officer or security, that'd be different. But if he does work for the city, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which actually,
Yeah.
that's probably the most expensive thing too. That'd be more
Yes, it
expensive
is.
than the application fee. That's what
Yes,
gotta be,
correct.
especially if that person's on overtime too. They might be sending that, whoever's up for OT to go.
Well, they have a rate. It's an off-duty police officer is, I believe, $225 per hour, and then
hour?
depending on how many police officers you need and for how long.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's expensive.
I know.
It-
It's very expensive.
It almost makes you just want to start sprinting around picking up the trash. There's no time is money almost on that. That's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah.
Well, I hope that somewhat changes a little bit down the line for you guys.
Yes. I'm working on it. I emailed the city commission already twice, where I requested that I don't have to pay for police, but I wasn't successful yet.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you and to get some of your thoughts on this, because I was thinking about how much trash is on the beaches and how to really stop it at the source. And litterers are obviously the biggest problem, whether that's people dumping things out of their boats, which the weekends there's so many people out there, on the bay especially, but then also the tourists on the actual beach. And how, in your experience too, because I'm sure you've had a lot of discussions with people on this, how do you get somebody to, okay, I have a pizza box or an empty beer can, there's a trash can about 50 meters from me, I'm just gonna drop it where I'm standing so I don't have to go make the trip. How do you get somebody to not do that and to actually either bring it to the trash can or bring it with them? Because either or does the trick. It's just times that by how many people are at the beach, and we get what we end up getting. And an expert kind of in the field doing this so often, what are your thoughts? Especially, does that come through your mind while you guys are out there picking up trash and just wondering, why didn't you just throw this out?
Yes, of course. We're always thinking that, especially once the cleanup is over and we see another 500 pounds of trash what we just picked up. And it is frustrating and it is demotivating at points to realize, okay, so we're picking up behind others who just don't care. Like, that is really frustrating, and it's a never-ending story, just because that person who might have left something on the beach now sees me picking up after him, that doesn't change anything about his behavior. So I believe here everything starts with education. Those who litter, they definitely have a lack of education. There is nothing in our school system that explains what litter actually means, why it is so harmful. The respect for our animal world is almost non-existing. And that is education at school, and there is definitely a big improvement necessary.
Yeah, that's a good point where you said there's not really a respect.
No, there's no respect for wildlife, oh, there's a manatee, yeah, so what, like, what does that manatee do me good, right? Like,
Yeah.
Those who litter, they don't even think about that. They're like, oh, that's an animal in the water. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sad part is if you think everything vice versa, right? Think of the animals are coming to our house and putting trash in our house where we live, right? What would we do? We would, I am assuming we would kill the animal, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
probably. I would.
how dare you come to my house, threaten me, and put trash in my where I live?
Yeah.
So yeah, the sad part is that it's exactly like that, just the other way around. And an animal life is not as high, it is as important, obviously, as a human life, which is very sad.
Well, I feel like too that they can't. One thing, they just don't have a voice. They can't obviously speak up and say
They don't
stop.
even know, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, they don't even know. And
they don't know.
I think I think a part of it is somebody. It's sight unseen. It's basically someone isn't feeding, say, a turtle, a metal or an aluminum can. They're not actually feeding it directly to their mouth. They're just leaving it on the beach, and it eventually may make its way into the mouth. So they might as well have just fed it right to them, but they don't see that right then and there, which I think
Correct.
kind of cuts off that that feeling of guilt, almost cuts off any consequence for them to experience, because they're not actually, they don't see it as them actually doing it, because they did just leave it on the beach. And I think that definitely has to play some sort of a role, because I know people who do very well in society, and then um, if you're on the beach, they end up leaving trash, and I've seen homeless people obviously leave trash on the beach as well. And I feel like it's people thinking, oh, no one's gonna see me, right? No one's gonna see me, no one's gonna say anything to me, so there's really no consequence for them not to leave it there if they don't have to. And then you have other people who, you could be looking at them or not, they're still gonna litter regardless, which I think are some of the hardest ones to probably turn into.
Well, there's also littering is illegal, first of all, but there's no enforcement, zero enforcement. There's so much other crime. I spoke to the chief of police about the issue, and he said it is really difficult for them to catch someone while littering. And there's just the other crimes are so much worse, that are happening on a daily basis, unfortunately. So
especially
I don't know
especially Miami
this.
Beach.
Yeah, I don't know how the city of Miami Beach wants to address this. If there just needs to be hired more officers or code compliance officers, it doesn't have to be a police officer.
Hmm.
But we definitely also need to start enforcing the litter law, and that's just simply not happening.
Yeah, that
And,
would be a good
and
idea.
yeah, definitely. So if you get a fine of like a high fine, like $250 just for leaving some trash, or $500, if it would be up to me, it would be even more. But yeah, so that's crazy. Like it's just not happening in Singapore. I mentioned Singapore earlier. I've been to Singapore, and I was so surprised how clean the city is. I was able to eat. I could have eaten from the street. It was so clean.
Yeah.
There wasn't even any chewing gums on the street. Nothing. It was wow. So it is possible to have a clean city.
Yeah,
Um,
when I was in San Francisco, I actually had the same experience, but not in the city. It was in their public transit. You're not allowed
mhm,
to eat. You're not allowed to
right,
drink too, I believe.
right.
And I mean, it was spotless. And that was after I had worked in New York City. And New York City, if you've ever been there, especially in the subway systems, is some of the dirtiest, nastiest places you can ever be. And then
Yeah.
when I was visiting San Francisco from there, their transit system was spotless. I mean, the city itself is the exact opposite now, especially with the
Yeah.
homelessness and so forth. But they do keep it pristine, which, to your point, it is possible. And
Hmm.
if it is possible, this is a pretty large scale issue, I would say, at the minimum, too, to be able to at least some sort of, maybe local government starts giving out more grants to organizations like you guys to be able to make this as consistent as possible. But I was even thinking about this too, almost us cleaning up after litterers too. It's almost enabling them because there's really no consequence almost to it,
Yeah.
right? Do you
Yeah.
ever get that feeling?
Yeah, it do. Yes, we all thinking about that, right? So we're not, but that's not the point where we need to focus on. The point is we're protecting wildlife, and we are not in charge of educating. Well, we are, but it's not our main my main responsibility to educate those who litter. My focus is on saving the environment. Helping the animals. Of course it goes hand in hand, and one has to automatically do something with the other. But I feel like whenever we have negative feelings, we should always shift them into a positive feeling, so that it is something that, because we're doing something good, and we should not feel bad about doing something good. It's always a little bit of a mind game.
Yeah, for sure, that makes sense too. And it's the positivity probably goes a long way too when
Yeah.
you're together on the beach cleaning it up too, especially when you first walk out and you probably see just a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And how do you guys do your cleanups? Do you guys use like machinery at all? Do you guys just use picks and trash bags like old school style?
Old school style. Yeah, we don't have any machines.
Okay.
Yeah, we meet to pick up trash, and we hand out garden gloves to protect, and then we have garbage picker, and we have buckets and bags.
Okay. And I saw from your website you guys have logged over 30,000 pounds of trash in total.
Almost, yeah. We're close. We're very close. I believe like this or next week we will hit it. Cleanups. Let me check the number exactly. I believe it's 29,409 pounds of trash.
That's insane.
It is, yeah.
It's insane to know too, if Sophie doesn't exist, there's 29,000 pounds of trash still out in the beach, which affects humans, but then also more so the wildlife.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that is an
that's crazy.
insane amount
Yeah.
of trash.
And I'm not the only one. There are other cleanup organizations in South Florida, and we calculated everything together. And I believe, like, within the past 2.5 years, we all together picked up over 150,000 pounds of trash, which, these numbers are mind blowing. They're so big, so large. I can't even imagine that. It's really bad,
Yeah, you would think that that would come maybe from an entire country or something,
right?
not just one edge of the city.
Yeah.
Especially it's just, South Florida too.
Well, it's actually just here, Miami area. It's Miami-Dade County.
Wow. Do you think Miami-Dade litters more than other parts of the country, or do you think it, it depends, or we're kind of all the same?
Well, I can't really answer that question, and I have too little knowledge about how other places are maintained, how the litter culture is in other locations, but I can definitely say that it's really, really bad here.
Hmm.
It is shockingly bad. When I travel, well, by now I find litter everywhere, no matter where I am, but I believe it's specifically bad here.
Yeah, Miami-Dade's a different breed, I think.
Yeah. And it's not just the tourists. People like to blame the tourists, but it's not.
They're an
During
easy
lockdown,
scapegoat. They're an easy scapegoat.
yeah, no, but it's not true. During lockdown, when there were no tourists in this city, I went for a trash walk every single day, and my bag was every day, it was full.
Wow.
Especially on the traffic lights, you see Gatorade bottles, water bottles. Oh, you finish whatever you have, and you just throw it out of the window at the light, or it was just while you're driving. I'm saying this with a smile, but I'm not. I'm inside
It's a
not
shame, isn't
smiling.
it? It's a shame.
It is. It is shameful. And I do sometimes. I do wonder. I do think about: is this person actually thinking about what that person just did, or is that just normal for them, or do they think anything, or do they have any feeling of shame?
I, I, yeah, I think the feeling of shame is starting to really dwindle away with anything really now. People just don't really have it unless they get caught. And even if they get caught, I think the immediate answer is going to be, well, everyone does it.
Mm,
So then they even try to like shift the blame a little bit. I feel like that
yeah.
would be the immediate answer, and then they might feel bad. I mean, I hope they do.
Hopefully.
Have you ever? Oh, quick question: have you ever caught somebody littering, approached them, and then turned them into a volunteer?
That's my wish. No, but I have actually. I have. So I see it every here and there, and I don't always have the guts to go and say. It depends on really the day. But I did speak to one day, and I said, "Hey, you just lost something." Oh. And then I gave it to him, and he put it in a trash can. So yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, you always need to be careful when you approach others here. Like lately they just pulled a gun, so I'm always careful with what I say.
Oh yeah, you've got to be very very careful down here. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you approach somebody in the position that you are too with the foundation that you run, um, people would understand, and then that would really simmer into their personality from that forward. Oh wow, somebody with stature in that field who does pick up trash themselves and helps clean the environment actually saw me litter. That's I think that would still go a long way, and I don't think that they would necessarily jump at you. Don't quote me on that though, because Daniel, I approached somebody and
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would definitely what I experience is that random people see us picking out trash and they think this is like so cool, and then they sign up for the next cleanup. That happens all the time.
that's good. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good to hear. I feel like positivity and negativity are both contagious, and I feel like either one that you go down is gonna rub off on others. And I think that that's so true that people see that they immediately want to start doing it because you're doing it, and they want to kind of be a part of that. Especially you guys are probably the happiest people out there picking
Yeah,
up
we're
trash
very
as well.
happy. I agree.
You guys probably have fun, and there's probably such a good vibe. I'm assuming too
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. I can confirm 100%. We always like to make it fun. It's a fun experience. We're out there. We're creating community. People who don't know each other come to our cleanups and already are, oh my God, today I'm going to help. I'm going to do something good. And then they meet other people and they have fun and they pick up trash together. Sometimes it's a little challenging trash. Sometimes it's heavy stuff, so they have to pull together to remove it. So it's always cool, and a lot of friendships developed. I met so many cool, fun people who I'm in friends with. We meet after the cleanups for a drink, and we invite each other for the birthday events, and it's just really nice to realize that I am building community. I'm bringing people together and I'm helping protect the ocean all in one, which is really, really awesome.
That is, you have to sleep so well at night knowing that you not only clean the beaches, but then you also have kind of started this whole community because in 2 years, I mean, you guys have what, well over 30,000 Instagram followers too.
Right. Yeah. It's impressive. I'm every day when I go on Instagram and see this, I'm like, wow. It was hard work though. It's really difficult. It's not easy to build an Instagram. It was hard work, but I'm very grateful to see how many people support us just by following us. That really really does something.
Yeah, yeah, it's good to hear too that that is kind of a community online that's positive too, especially the way social media is right now, that there's actually a place to go to where you can comment on a post and everything is really positive and there's no fighting, no politics, no negativity. It's just pure people helping out others. And that's online that's kind of rare now, I feel like online. Because as soon as you make a post of whatever you guys have done that week, I'm sure you get a lot of good responses too. Which I was going to ask you: is it a lot of your followers? Are they Miami based, hometown people? Are they tourists as well who have now followed you after coming down, maybe seeing an ad, getting involved with a cleanup before they head back to wherever? Is it like kind of probably a mix?
Yes, it's a mix. It's an international community as well. It's a great way to support each other all over the world who do the same work what we do. It's really impressive to see so many people do working for the same cause. So it's a mix of from everything. It's international. It's the like-minded people. It's local people. It's yeah, lots of students, then definitely also visitors who came here and saw us and think, oh wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, and I'm sure you kind of start establishing almost those like long-term followers, long-term relationships there to where with the next time they're in Miami, they're probably put you on their list to come help out.
Yeah. So COVID actually stopped that a little bit, but I had friends who I met through Instagram who do the same somewhere in the world, and they say, "Hey, next year I'm coming to Miami. When is your next cleanup? Can we plan something together? I definitely want to go to a cleanup of yours." Like, how cool! And I had a few people before COVID do that. They joined us and they came. They traveled from France, from Europe, someplace, and they were here for vacation, and they said, "Yeah, so I want to do a cleanup. When is it?" So that's pretty cool.
That is awesome because just
Yeah,
in a very short couple of years too.
yeah,
I mean, you guys could be pretty massive in just a short couple of years if you're like this in your first, since 2019, you said, right?
yes, March 2019, correct.
Now, what are some of your overall goals for the organization? Is it to expand out of Miami? Is it just to kind of expand up to Fort Lauderdale and the Florida a little bit, or did you have any thoughts with that?
Yeah, so obviously I would love to grow. I have been growing since I started, so it's just logic that I will continue to grow, which is cool. So I'm excited for everything that's out there. My vision is to have every school in Miami involved and have a cleanup with the kids in the schools and also have presentations at those schools and get them to start using reusable utensils. I was shocked to learn when I learned that the schools use plastic utensils. I cannot believe that this is actually really true. I'm still struggling with that fact. At the end of this episode, I will send you a link for a YouTube video. Maybe you can put that in the podcast somehow.
Hmm.
It's just 2 minutes about. It's called The Story of the Spoon. It's on YouTube. that it has became so normal to use plastic utensils or plastic in general, but let's focus on the utensils. It's just incredible. I don't understand, and I can't wrap my mind around it, how it got there and why it is so normal. It should not be normal at all. Something we use for only a couple of minutes, but it stays with us for thousands of years. How can a school support something like that? We are teaching our kids that it is okay to use something for only a few minutes and not care about its afterlife at all. How dare us? How can we do something like that? So my vision is that all schools stop using single-use plastics in their schools.
That's good. That's pretty cool to hear too. That was a great idea. I wasn't expecting that first answer where it's like, I want to get in the school system and really start pushing cleanups, which I think would be amazing to start with kids getting involved with volunteer work, because I don't think a lot of kids growing up now are really exposed to it until they are out of school and then want to get involved. And I think starting them out when they're younger, I think kids would love that. They're
Of
outside,
course.
it's a class or so, and they're cleaning up. And then I'm sure if you've spoken with school districts, the very first thing I could see them being like, oh well, with COVID, we don't want to reuse blah blah blah. But I mean,
Well, we are
restaurants, they
no,
have.
yeah, but I can say that we're way past that. That it is proven that it makes no sense. We are also not um, cleaning the doorknob every time after somebody touched it, or the chair, or the table, or the tray the food comes on.
That's a good
So
point.
the tray is reusable, but the utensils are not. How is that possible? When you think about it logically, it makes no sense. And to protect everybody from COVID, we all learned by now that we need to use hand sanitizer. So put the hand sanitizer right in front of the utensils. You need to sanitize your hands first before you touch it, and that's it. So we can't put COVID as an excuse for our convenient lifestyle. And it has really nothing to do with we're protecting ourselves from that anymore. It's just not.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like a lot of the time we kind of lose the long term thought with that when you brought up we don't consider the afterlife of the things that we do use, and the hundreds or thousands of years is probably very correct with that too, that those things last for that long, and we don't really know even how long it could be even past that too, which is a really really great point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. What I would also like to mention is plastic got invented about 70 years ago, and within that short time, and really introduced into the market about 60 years ago. So we, as humans, we made it possible that within those 60 years, we polluted our oceans completely. Like, how crazy is this? And it will last so many lifetimes after us. It's not that it's gone with us when we die, the plastic dies. No, the plastic stays here literally forever. And it only took us so few years.
That's mind-boggling to even try to think about. That's
Yeah.
mind-boggling. I want to ask you one last question, Sophie, before we wrap up here. If you had, say, unlimited funding and unlimited time, do you think that pollution would is an issue that's solvable overnight if you had unlimited resources? Do you think that it could be solvable, or do you think it's always an issue that we're going to have to kind of fight tooth and nail with constantly?
Well, that's an interesting question. I would need to give it some thought, but like the first thing that comes to my mind is I don't think I will be able to lobby the oil industry. So plastic is made out of oil, of a fossil fuel, and it's pushing so hard. It's owning all these plastic factories, and like this whole system. I don't want to go into deep into this right now, but I believe like overnight, even if I had all the money in the world, it would still be difficult, since the oil industry is just has so much more power, and they are funding political campaigns, they're lobbying. I don't know how I would be able to change that overnight. But if I could, I would definitely stop all the oil drilling. I would just shut everything down and ban plastic everywhere, uninvented. I mean, plastic is not only bad, right? We, especially in medical field, without plastic, I don't think we would be there. Well, we wouldn't be there where we are, or in science and in research, and like look at even just the blood, what's it called, the thing the blood is in when you need transfusion, when you need blood transfusion. Those type of things. But what we definitely need to invent is a plastic or a form of protection for those type of things, that it doesn't stay with us for those many years. So either we invent something that breaks down in a way shorter time, or we invent something completely new.
Yeah, so it sounds like it'll definitely be a fight, a constant fight
Yeah,
with getting it, even if we had like $1 trillion to utilize it.
yeah,
It sounds like it'll be a little tough there.
yeah. It's a little more challenging. It's a little more to it.
Yeah. Well, Sophie, I wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today, and thank you even more so for what you help lead and do down here in Miami. And I'm wishing you guys the best of luck to keep our beaches clean and so forth and healthy, and then hoping that you guys expand too and can really do it on a large scale.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and it was awesome to speak with you. Really, really nice conversation.
And if I can speak for the animals too and the wildlife, they definitely love you, Sophie. They have never told you that, but they definitely love you. I'll speak for them on that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
All right, Sophie. So I'm hoping to touch base with you again in maybe like a year or two and see how far you're doing. Everyone who's listening, Clean Miami Beach, you can follow them on Instagram. They have a great post quite frequently on everything that they do, as well as cleanmiamibeach.org, I believe, too, Sophie, right? And you can keep tabs on them on how much trash they take off of the beaches and every single thing that they do. So if you guys are interested, definitely follow them. And if you're interested as well in getting involved in volunteering, it's super, super easy and painless. And I think you'll meet a lot of good friends in doing so too. So Sophie, it's been a pleasure, and looking to see you again down the road.
Amazing. Yeah, please also join us for a cleanup.
Yes, when's your next cleanup, by the way? When's your next two?
Yeah, so next one is actually very special since it's World Cleanup Day, and it will be September 18th.
Okay, so that's that's right around the corner there. So
yeah,
I'm sure you'll get a great turnout for that.
I'm sure too.
I will have a good one, Sophie, and I will see you down the road. It's been great.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Daniel. It was nice talking to you.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.